Well, we have officially found out the first two matchup in the round of 16. Um, we will be having Portugal playing against Uruguay, and we will have Spain playing against Russia in the first two matchup in the round of 16. And in many ways, in after seeing all these games and after seeing the games in Group B, it is really kind of hard to say that Morocco and also Iran is now officially eliminated in the tournament. Well, to be honest, Morocco has already been eliminated coming into this match day, but so is Iran after they drew against Portugal. And talking about this game, and since we're talking about it, let's actually talk about this game first between Iran versus Portugal because for Iran, they play kind of a very similar style that they play against Spain, which was they kind of like sit back and trying to hit Portugal on the counter attack, and Portugal were having majority of the possession and tried to break this Iranian team down, which not surprisingly they had a lot of tough time to try to break them down. And for Iran, this game, I think the big moment in this game is not really the Ronaldo miss that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are talking about right around the 52nd minute, because when Ronaldo missed that penalty, Portugal were up 1-0 after Quaresma hit an absolute banger to get Portugal the lead right before halftime. But really, the big moment of this game, and this is probably a moment that could have easily change how Group B actually is and change the fact that potentially Portugal could have been out at this moment. So basically what happened was after Ensarifa or something, I'm gonna apologize to all the Iranian and certainly also the Moroccan and Saudi Arabia fans that I go to completely butcher your player's name, because Arab's name is one of the toughest to pronounce. And I'm thinking it's Al Sarafi or something like that scored the penalty, and I've got to put a P right here. So after he scored this penalty, just 1 minute later, Iran had a great opportunity to get that second goal. The ball was playing into the box while the Iranian player was through on goal. He was at an angle to shoot that ball, but it looked like he had a great opportunity to put that second goal for Iran. And if that second goal actually went in, then Iran would have finished top, and Iran would be at they would be at 6 points. They would finish top because Spain drew against Morocco, and Portugal would be out of the tournament. That is how small and how big that moment was, not just in this game, but certainly in terms of this whole tournament that determined Group B. And really, Group B is this is probably the most exciting group that we have seen in a World Cup group in a long time. And I know some people say, well, what about Group H? Group H is also exciting. Yes, Group H is exciting, but the thing is, there's really only 3 teams in that group that really kind of compete, and Poland just they faded away in the World Cup and turns out to be a massive disappointment. This group was nothing but disappointment. Or this group is nothing but no disappointment. I actually phrased it wrong there. I mean, this group had all 4 of these teams. You could easily make the case that they deserve to go through. Iran definitely played very well in this tournament. The tactics that they set up, even though it is kind of a negative football kind of style of tactics, it works for them. And that is what it matters. But unfortunately, those margin of error that they need and those big moments that they really needed to have, it wasn't there. And that is why Iran basically got knocked out in the group stage. And so it's the same thing you can say about Morocco. Although Morocco, the problem for this team is that despite how great that they've been playing and how they've been playing some of the most beautiful football you would see in a lower tier kind of country team play in a World Cup, they couldn't put the ball into the back of the net. And although in this game they did finally find a way to put the ball into the back of the net, they also concede the 2 goals to Spain, with Isco scoring in the 19th minute and Aspas scoring in the first minute of stoppage time. And there was obviously some controversy with Ego Aspas scoring this goal, because some people said that was actually going to be offside. And originally, the linesman actually raised his flag and said it was offside, but the referee looked at VAR himself, and when you look at the VAR footage, it looked like Aspas was actually onside. And I think that certainly is a good call by the ref. And I know since VAR and how from what we have seen so far with VAR, it has just been at times good, but at times really, really bad. And I think if you look at this tournament and the use of VAR, I think even before this tournament, I know for a fact that there's going to be some controversy in some of the call, because that's the whole point of that's not really the whole point of bringing VAR, but the point about bringing VAR and this new technology is that, one, it goes against what previous World Cup has done, which is just letting the ref kind of judge the way it is, and hopefully the ref will always make the right call. And since now we're implementing this technology, and how there's a lot of people that is not happy with the way that this technology was introduced, and the way that the ref is not taking advantage of this technology, and at times just refuse to use VAR because he can always make the right call and stuff like that. That is why VAR has been just so controversial so far in this tournament. And we're going to continue to get these controversy throughout the rest of the tournament. Let's just hope that when VAR is used during the knockout stage, I know this is probably going to be inevitable, and that potentially we're going to have that moment where in the knockout stage there's going to be that one goal where it's going to, the referee look at VAR, or they didn't use VAR to look at it, and it probably should have or shouldn't have counted. We're probably gonna have that moment in the knockout stage. I'm just hoping it doesn't, because I want to have a knockout stage that doesn't have a lot of controversy. But in the World Cup, and you look at previous World Cup, and especially in the knockout stage, that is when the controversy is at its most in terms of those kind of 50-50 call. But going back to this game, and also kind of like bringing it into this game, like I said, that big moment with Iran to potentially score that second goal, if they would have put that one in, they would have won the game and got 6 points, and they would have finished top of the group, and they would be playing against Russia in the round of 16. And I'll tell you what, Russia versus Iran in the round of 16, who would have thought that would be a possible matchup in the round of 16? I bet nobody would have said that. Well, the matchup in the round of 16 will be Russia versus Iran. But unfortunately, it didn't happen because Iran got knocked out. And, the same goes with Morocco, who already got knocked out before the tournament. But at least Morocco did their best to try to help out Iran, to try to maybe knock Spain kind of down, and the fact that maybe Iran can just sneak it in there. Although even if Morocco gave up this goal, and this is the other thing, even though if let's say the goal by Ego Aspas missed that or not missed that, but if that one was actually an offside call and that Spain does not get a victory, Spain will still move on into the next round. Spain would be finishing second, and Portugal would be at first place. Iran wouldn't make it through because Spain actually have I think they would both tie on goal differential, but Spain currently scored the more goal than Iran has, and the fact that Spain has already beaten Iran. If both of those teams would have go in the next tiebreaker, that is, they look at the head-to-head matchup. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting how Portugal and Spain is gonna get through in the round of 16. They certainly, both of them, I think, have Well, I wouldn't say both of them had easy matches because Portugal has a very tough match against Uruguay, um, which I of course will mention in a bit. But Spain against Russia, and after what we saw in today against Russia, maybe they have a bit of an easy role. And speaking of the Uruguay versus Russia game, let's talk about this one, and let's talk about how this was a reality check for Russia. This is probably why I think, from what I said yesterday and how I was praising Russia being a good team, I feel like I was one of those person that kind of fell victim into that jumping into conclusion, the fact that Russia have only faced Egypt and Saudi Arabia, and Egypt and Saudi Arabia are not very good team. So when they finally play against a good team like Uruguay, and despite the fact that Uruguay has not looked very well this tournament, they completely dominate against Russia. They completely gave Russia a reality check, with Suarez scoring the goal in the 10th minute, and then Cheryshev scoring an own goal in the 23rd minute, although it wasn't really an own goal. It was basically a shot that I think it was Cavani that shoot that one, and it just deflected off of Cheryshev and hit it into the back of the net. Very unfortunate. And then Cavani, of course, himself scoring the goal in stoppage time. And Uruguay, of course, they kind of got help with the fact that Russia got a red card right in the 36th minute. Simolikov got his second yellow in the 36th minute. And yeah, that is, for Russia, that is definitely not a very kind of good result, even though they are moving on, because now if you look at how they play against Uruguay, and when they actually play against a tough opponent, which they are going to when they face against Spain, that is a bit concerning with this Russian national team. Although you would still say that I feel like this Russian team has overachieved a lot so far in this World Cup. I mean, we talk about how them being the worst team in the World Cup in terms of the rankings, the FIFA rankings, that is, or I should say the broken FIFA rankings, because the rankings that FIFA use is just really, really bad. But they were still heading into this group as considered kind of an underdog for most people, and yet they're able to find themselves get out of the group, and they were able to, for the first two games, beating teams that you would think that they definitely could beat, but they beat them in a very resounding way. And I think that is something that you've got to praise Russia for, and that, it's unfortunate that when they finally face a good team, they kind of collapse a little bit. But let's just hope when they play against Spain, they would show that passion and show that kind of desire like they did in the first two games, and maybe really give Spain a little bit run of the money. And for Spain, these last couple of games themselves have not looked as good as they are. I mean, the first game, I think that was probably the best game Spain has played, but the last two games has been really kind of iffy. So no guarantee the fact that Spain it would be a cakewalk when they play against Russia in the next round. But more of course on that when we actually get to that point, and I'll actually talk about more of that when we do the preview of the Russia versus Spain match in the knockout stage, which starts on Saturday, I believe. But yeah, final matches. This match, I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't watch this match, and I'm kind of one of them, because this is a match that really doesn't mean anything. Both teams are going out of the tournament, but it was Saudi Arabia that actually get an impressive 2-1 victory against Egypt. And after what happened in the first match day and how Saudi Arabia completely got destroyed by Russia, you wouldn't think that they would even get a point, or even nevertheless 3 points out of this World Cup. But yet they got all 3 points against Egypt. Salah, of course, opened the account for Egypt, and he should have made it 2-0 Egypt after 26 minutes. I mean, he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. All he had to do was just try to smash that one in, or maybe just trying to dinks it over the goalkeeper, which he kind of did. But instead, he decided to go with the cheeky chip, and it let him down big time. I mean, I wouldn't really just kind of be mad that Salah did that, and that was just a big kind of moment that he should that I think he shouldn't have never tried to do that shit, because there was nothing at stake in this game. There was absolutely nothing at stake in this game, so maybe Salah is trying to do some trickery and stuff like that to maybe score a good goal to get like the headlines, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Saudi Arabia, of course, got a penalty. They actually got a penalty earlier in the game, but they missed that one. Alfaro, of course, converts the penalty, and then they score in the 95th minute, the last minute and the dying minute of the game, from Aldu Dosari or something like that. Again, I do apologize that I am mispronouncing these names like crazy, because I'm just bad at pronouncing names, especially Arab name. But Saudi Arabia definitely will be happy with this. They definitely go out of the tournament on a high, and even though they didn't make it through the group, at least they got something out of this, and at least they got a win. And for Egypt, this has to be a very disappointing tournament. I mean, I know for a fact that yes, Egypt, they qualified to the World Cup for the first time since 1990, and that they usually don't put a lot of expectation for a team that qualified for their first World Cup in like 28 years. But with the way that this Egyptian team and how they actually have some really decent talent, and that you would think that Salah will be the one that maybe carry them into the knockout stage, or at least get a win. They didn't even do that whatsoever. So that has to be really disappointing for Egypt. But I guess if you're a Liverpool fan, this is probably good news for you guys, because now that Salah is not playing with Egypt anymore, and he should be going back to have his summer break before he rejoined Liverpool for the preseason training, then this means that you are getting more rest from them, and that was something that Liverpool fans really hope they of course will get. I mean, they don't hope that Salah does not do well with Egypt, and I thought in this World Cup, he had a couple of decent moments, but it's not like he really just he wasn't like anything like what Ronaldo is doing, although he isn't anything like what Messi did in this World Cup, because Messi hasn't scored a single goal so far in this World Cup, and Salah actually scored 2. But yeah, either way, like I said, with all these results done, it means that in the first knockout stage of the first round of 16 game will be Russia versus Spain and Portugal versus Uruguay. And I, of course, will be previewing those games once it happens. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. I, of course, will be doing the preview for tomorrow game in a couple of minutes. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.